Today, I'm going to talk about RICOH GR3X. Hey, what's up everyone? You good? This is Hyunmin Jung from HMJ Photography with a fresh new haircut. It's been about 2 weeks since I got this RICOH GR3X. So today, I want to talk about this camera and also compare this to RICOH GR3 in case you're wondering which camera you should get. Okay, so the first thing I want to say about this camera is I love it. I always loved my RICOH GR3, and this RICOH GR3X is almost the same camera. The size is almost the same, the usability is the same, and the only difference is the focal length. This RICOH GR3X is 40mm and this RICOH GR3 is 28mm. So there is no reason for me to not love this camera. Again, apart from the focal length, these two cameras are almost the same cameras. They both have 24 megapixel APS-C sensor, which is usually installed in much bigger cameras. Being able to use this kind of sensor in such a small body is really amazing because the image quality you can get from this small camera is amazing. I'm sure a lot of people are wondering which camera you should get, GR3 or GR3X. Before I say anything else, I want to tell you one thing, and that is GR3X is not an upgraded version of GR3. It's not like iPhone 13 and iPhone 13s. It's more like changing a lens on your interchangeable camera. So it's more about what you prefer. It is impossible to say which camera is a better camera. However, you can decide which camera is better for you, and I will help you with that. First thing I need to talk about is this 40mm lens. For a very long time, 28mm was almost like an identity of GR cameras. Yeah, they did have 21mm camera too, but it was always this very sharp 28mm lens that made RICOH GR cameras what it is today. But now, we have this 40mm lens in the GR cameras. And I believe that this is a result of RICOH as a company listening to photographers' voice. One of my favorite photographers slash filmmaker, Sean Tucker, also talked about this. We, the GR users, always love this incredibly sharp 28mm lens, but to some of us, it was a little bit too wide in some situations. 28mm is an amazing focal length with fun quirks, but I actually started liking 28mm because of GR3. Before I started using my RICOH GR3, 50 or 35 was my go-to focal length for street photography. Even now, for my Leica M6, I almost always use 50mm lens on and 35mm as a backup. So this 40mm lens is like somewhere just right in between. So by moving your feet just a little bit, it can become 50 or 35. I would have to say that the traditional, somewhat quirky GR looks you can get from the 28mm lens is gone in GR3X 40mm lens. But I think with 40mm lens, it's much easier to compose your photos since the focal length is a bit tighter. You can get more subject-based compositions compared to 28mm. With 28mm lens, because it's leaning towards wider lens, it takes in more from the environment. So in other words, if your surrounding environment is not interesting, it can become a really boring picture or even a very distracting picture. However, if you can really utilize this 28mm lens, you can take some very interesting, nice photos. So again, it's more about what you prefer and how you use it. What I'm about to say right now is my impression and my opinion that is not backed scientifically, but with 28mm lens, because it's a little bit wide, I personally think that there are some distortions, which I think is fun of using GR cameras and which that makes the looks of GR cameras. You might like it or dislike it, but with this 40mm lens, because it's a bit tighter, I think that distortion is gone, which again, you might like it or dislike it. A little while ago, a person who claims to be a beginner photographer asked me if he or she should get GR3 or GR3X. Well, whichever one you get, they are both amazing cameras and I think you will find a way to fully use it. But if I really had to choose one camera out of these two, keeping in mind that this person is a beginner photographer, I think I would go with GR3X. The reason is, although you can't really get the quirks and perks of 28mm lens, with 40mm lens, I think it's generally easier to use, especially if you're not familiar with the traditional GR looks. I think this 40mm GR3X would be more all-around camera for you. Also, like GR3, GR3X has macro mode. And personally, I think macro mode makes more sense on 40mm lens than 28mm lens. But that's just my humble opinion. After about a week since I bought this RICOH GR3X, RICOH announced a special limited urban edition. So, if you are thinking of buying one, that could be a great option. RICOH GR3 and RICOH GR3X is almost an identical camera and it confused the hell out of me. So, I changed this ring to this purple ring, which RICOH sent me for free after answering some surveys. Unfortunately, I think that's only happening in Japan, but I'm sure you can find some other color rings on Amazon. Well, that's it for today, guys. Both RICOH GR3 and GR3X are amazing cameras and I'm very excited to take more pictures with these cameras. I really hope this video can help you make some decisions. Please like, subscribe and share. Thank you very much and until next time.